What's up, good people? What's up, good people? It's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., the Impact Builder, coming to you from the lab. I was going to try and do this outside, y'all, but I just absolutely don't have enough juice to be able to do it outside today after my walk. So I had to come in and plug in and plug into my charger so that I could go live now. So I wanted to come here this morning. Y'all know what we doing. Welcome to the brand new suite. Today, y'all know what it is. It's Work for It Wednesday. We got to work for it on not just Wednesday, but every single day. You've got to work for it. As my father told me when I was a young boy, and I'll tell y'all this story. I played high school basketball for my father. He was a phys ed teacher, but he was also basketball coach, football coach, lacrosse coach, track coach. Phenomenal athlete. Dad was a phenomenal athlete, and he I was doing the tryouts for the team, and the competition was between myself and one of the other guys that was going out for the position of a point guard, right? So he and I were competing for the point guard position, but also competing for the starting position of the point guard. So when we first started the season, made the team and everything like that. But when we started the season, my dad did not start me. He started the other guy, and I knew I was better than him. Even my teammates were wondering why I wasn't starting versus the other guy, and I was just like, I don't know. That had to do with my dad. And so after the second game or so of the season, he starts me. And so a little while after that, I asked him one evening when we were home or something like that, and I asked him why he all of a sudden decided to start me and didn't start me from the beginning of the season. And he said this to me. He said I knew that you were better than the young man. He said, I knew you were better than him. He said, but I wanted you to know that you were better than him, and I wanted your teammates to know that you were better than him, and that I wasn't just going to give you the starting position because you were my son. You know, nobody is going to give you anything in life. No one owes you anything in life. So I've taken that lesson with me in everything that I do in my life, whether it's business or personal. No one is going to give you anything. Not even your parents are obligated to give you anything. I mean, they have a responsibility of taking care of you, of course, up until the age of 18. But after that, they don't have to do anything for you. They don't have to give you anything. So he helped me to understand that, one, you should be appreciative of things that people do for you. But then two, in life, you got to work for it. You're going to have to work for it. Nobody's going to give you anything. You aren't entitled to anything. And I know that that's a word that I think that people, especially of this generation and this now and time, need to understand. No, you're not entitled to anything. And that's partially the parents of those kids too, their fault, because they've made those kids feel as if they are entitled. And even in the business sector, a lot of people think that they don't have to do the work. This is Work for Wednesday. You think that you're supposed to just get somewhere just because, no, you have to put in the work. And to me, that's what's missing as entrepreneurs and as leaders. You got to understand that it's your responsibility to instill a work ethic in those that you lead, those that work for you, those that work with you. I was watching, and real quick, and then I'm going to get into what we're talking about today, which is resources. The 10 lessons. I know what we're talking about here in the brand new suite. We're talking about the 10 lessons that Kehancha and the CBO Kenya Summit taught me. But we talked about mindset. We talked about vision. Today we're going to talk about resources. But before I talk about that, I want to get in, tell this story today. I was watching on Instagram, right? Video of the Last Dance documentary, and they had this little clip of Michael Jordan and one of his teammates, B.J. Armstrong, and they asked B.J. Armstrong if Michael Jordan was nice. And you could B.J. Armstrong hesitated, and he didn't want to say that he wasn't nice, and he framed it in such a way, well, he couldn't afford to be nice. And I don't think that in any of our positions, our capacities that we're in as leaders, as entrepreneurs, that we should not be defined as being nice. I'm sorry. I don't want anyone, when they think of me, to actually, when they ask of my character, when they ask of what do they think of me as a person, that they think that I'm not a nice person, that I don't treat people with respect. And I had an issue with that, because I in talking about Michael Jordan, this is one of the reasons, the part that I don't respect about him in his leadership ability. Yeah, he won the championships, and some folks will consider him to be the greatest, basketball player ever, but I never will, because I look at my favorite basketball player, he's the second greatest basketball player, is Irvin Magic Johnson. And you will never hear any of Magic Johnson's teammates say that he was not a nice person, that he disrespected them in any kind of way. You won't hear them say that about Magic. You won't hear them say that about Kareem. You won't hear them say that about Hakeem Olajuwon. And you won't hear them say that about Tim Duncan. So as leaders and as entrepreneurs, we have to understand being nice person. Doesn't mean that you got to let people walk all over you or anything like that. Doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean that you lay the hammer down or you get up in people when it's necessary. But you still have a respect for people. And that's the difference in leadership to me. Between, because I'll put it there, and I'll tell people, you look at the leadership of Magic Johnson, you look at the leadership of Michael Jordan. Both accomplished the same thing, because they won multiple championships, won multiple MVPs, and considered, in the top 5 Mount Rushmore of basketball. But when you talk about their character, one was considered to be nice, one was considered to be disrespectful and not nice. That's what that is. And using that, part of being nice is goes into what I'm going to talk about today is resources. What Kehancha taught me and what the CBO Kenya taught me was about the resources that we have, the resources that we need, and the resources that we're building. I watched this documentary, and if you get the opportunity, I tell everyone to watch this documentary. It's called The Black Godfather, and it's about a gentleman by the name of Clarence Avant. He just passed away a couple of months ago, but to hear people talk about him. And one of the things that he says in the documentary, and it goes to why I'm talking today about resources. He says, relationships are resources. Hey, Pastor Thomas. Hey, Doc. How you, Doc Levon? How are you? Thanks for tuning in. But he says relationships are resources, and one of the things that we have, because of the CBO that we have, and I talked about it yesterday, the CBO Kenya, is because of the relationship that Pastor Thomas has with the CBO creator, Bernice Lohman. That relationship has connected resources. Those resources that Pastor Thomas gained when he came here to the CBO Savannah, he thought it not robbery to say, hey, these resources are something that we could use and that we need and that we want in Kehancha, that we want in Kenya. And so as a consequence, he had the idea to be able to bring the CBO to Kenya, and specifically to Kehancha. And what a wonderful connection that has been. And what that did, what Pastor Thomas was able to do was to, the resources that he had, he was able to say, hey, Bernice, I have resources here. I have people that need your resources, and I want to be able to create more resources for the people of Kehancha, Kenya. And y'all see how that works? Y'all see how that all comes together, and how relationships are resources. All that resource that got to Kehancha, Kenya, got to Kenya because of Pastor Thomas taking a trip, hearing about the CBO in Savannah, Georgia, saying, hey, I want to go and be a part of that. This is something that I need to be a part of. The Christian business owners in Savannah, they're having this summit. They're having information that I want to be able to gather and to be able to get there. Take it with what the resources that I have that I can use and connect with the people that were in Savannah, learn there, and then take those resources and say, I not only want to take the resources back to Kehancha, I want I want to bring the resources over to Kehancha. So what happens? He invites Bernice to have the CBO summit in Kenya, and which creates the CBO Kenya. And it created even better relationship, because then Bernice says, hey, that's a great idea. Let's put our resources together to bring the CBO to Kenya. And as a result of that, I have some people that I want that will be a resource, that are resources to me, that I believe can be a resource to those in Kenya. Let me bring them, let me put them together. Let me bring those resources that they bring, as we, each of us on the team, 7 of us on the team, we were then able to say, okay, what are the different resources that each of us brings, i.e. our presentations and our knowledge, our information, the resources that we have. How can we bring that over to Kehancha in Kenya and have it be a part of the CBO Kenya and the resources that are needed there? See how that all works together, y'all? See what happens when you bring mindset that I said? I started off this week with that intentionally because I wanted that to be the foundation. There was a mindset, the mindset that Bernice had in creating the CBO Summit. There was the mindset that Pastor Thomas had in wanting to come to the CBO Summit in Savannah originally. And then the mindset of Pastor Thomas saying, I want to bring that over to Kehancha. And all of that mindset led to the vision that Bernice had in creating the CBO, the vision that Pastor Thomas had in coming to visit the CBO, but then him having the vision and saying, hey, this is something that we believe should be in Kehancha, and him pitching the idea to Bernice, her seeing that vision and saying, yes, this is something that we can do, that we can create. And here's the thing, even since then, Bernice has said that there will be the CBO in other countries. So the resources, y'all, relationships are resources. I want y'all to understand that today. That's the phrase of today. I want you to write that in the comments there. Relationships are resources. And I want you to think about today what resources that you have, what resources that you need, and then what resources are you creating? Those 3 things. I want you to write that's the homework for today, y'all. That's the homework today. What resources do you have? What resources do you need? And what resources are you creating? Because you should be a resource for someone else, and someone else should be a resource for you. I just gave you how the CBO was a resource for here in Savannah, and how the CBO Kenya is now a resource for Kehancha. It's now going to be a resource for beyond Kehancha. It's going to be, because it's going to reach beyond Kehancha. It's going to reach into the other parts of the other cities, the other towns, the other parts of Kenya. All because Pastor Thomas had the mindset, had the vision, and now has some resources, but is looking to gain even more resources to bring to Kehancha. And what will happen as a result of those resources now coming into Kehancha, Kehancha flourishes. Kehancha produces as God has called all of us to do. Something good is about to happen. Something God is about to happen in Kehancha, in Savannah, in London next year, and even beyond. And there are other countries that are on the slate, I believe, that Bernice has listed, because she has a flyer with the flags on it. It is absolutely wonderful to see how these resources are coming together in the CBO. And if you haven't joined the CBO, go to the CBO Fellowship group, join the group. If you're a Christian business owner, you want to connect yourself with other like-minded, visionary Christian business owners, that's where you want to be. Where you'll be able to connect, build, and grow with those there. It's a powerful, powerful connection of entrepreneurs, and we want you to be able to be a part of that, because to experience the CBO Kenya, I can't even put it into words. They were a resource for us. We were a resource for them. Those of us that went to and spoke there and were a part of everything that they had us be, the services, the phenomenal services that they had, the schools that they're building there, all of the other things that Pastor Thomas has the vision for, and that he's looking to be able to build. It needs resources, y'all. It requires resources. If you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, if you're going to be a successful leader, you need resources. So what resources do you have? What resources do you need? And then what resources are you creating? That's what we're doing today. That's what the CBO Kenya, I came in with. That's the lesson I got. Number 3 that I got from Kehancha about resources. Because I had to ask myself, what resources do I have? What were the resources that I could bring in presenting there? What resources did I need? I.e., what connections did I need to make? What connections did I need to make in Kehancha so that I could benefit from the Kenya, the CBO Kenya? And then what resources am I creating? Because now, as a consequence of making the connections and having those, going there and speaking and talking with the different people there, I now have additional resources. I'm looking at what resources I can create from that. What relationships am I creating from that? And the CBO Kenya has allotted me and those of us that were a part of it, to be able to now create resources, create other resources, because I can't wait to see when Pastor Thomas's vision for Kehancha and the things that they're doing, when they bring those visions are able to become reality, and hopefully the resources that we're able to connect them to in order to be able to bring that vision to reality. Because that's the only way. Y'all know my mantra is one of my mantras is to bringing vision, building the 21st century, building the 21st century company, bringing vision to reality, creating the 21st century company. You can't bring a vision to reality if you don't have the resources that you need. And here's the great thing. Kehancha, Kenya has everything that they need in order to be able to build what it is that they're building. And what's going to make that even greater are the resources that they're adding to what it is that what they're building and doing. So take that with you as an entrepreneur, as a leader. If you want to take your business, your brand, and you to that next level, You have to have the resources. Not only the internal resources, not about just the external resources, it's about your internal resources. Your resources comes from the knowledge that you gain, whether it's reading books, connecting with certain people who have access to certain things. I was talking with one of my clients last night, and we were talking about the vision that they have for their company. And what needs to happen and what has to happen is they have to have resources in order to be able to get to the level that they want to be able to get to. So what we're concentrating on are how do we get connected to those resources, and how do we build the resources that we need? What relationships do we have to nurture? What relationships do we have to create in order to be able to be successful? In order to be able to take our brand and our business to that next level. Because I promise you, every Fortune 500 company it started off as a small business. And the way that it became a Fortune 500 company was through the resources that they obtained. So let's, this week, I want that to be one of your goals, one of your aims, is create. How are you going to create those relationships that are going to create the resources that you need? And you may find that you may be a resource for someone. So someone may be connecting with you in order to be able to create the resources that they need. And then you become a resource for each other. And that's what a business ecosystem is all about. And that's the thing that I constantly thought about as we were riding around in Kehancha. Is Kehancha having this business ecosystem? That business ecosystem becomes the way that they expand and that they grow and that they build. Because if the money's flowing amongst themselves and within each other, it gives them the ability to be able to expand and grow. That's what resources does for you all. If the schools in Kehancha are going to grow, they need resources. They need a ecosystem, a business ecosystem. If the businesses that are in Kehancha want to grow and they want to create the infrastructure that they need for the ecosystem, they need resources. All of us that are entrepreneurs, all of us that are leaders, we have to be able to tap into the resources that we have. That's part of what makes you a great entrepreneur. That's part of what makes you a great leader, are the resources that you have. Because everybody doesn't have particular resources. And I suggest one of the reasons why we have mentors, right? One of the reasons why we have people that are where we're trying to get to is because of the resources that they provide for us. They are able or can be able or should be able to open doors that we can't open ourselves. That's what mentors can do for you. That's what leadership should do for you. That's what being connected and partnering with certain other entrepreneurs can do for you. It gives you access to resources that you might not readily have. What's up, Dwight? Yeah, so today I want you to have that in your mind. The homework assignment is to think about 1, the resources that you have, 2, the resources that you need, and 3, the resources that you can create, the relationships that you can create. I want you to just reach out. Think about the relationship that you're trying to create, and I want you to reach out to 5 people this week. Reach out to 5 people that you believe are a resource for you. And then out of that 5, I want you to reach out to those that may be a resource for you, but then be a resource for someone else. Out of that 5, I want you to ensure that at least 1 or 2 of them are a resource that you are for someone else. How can you be a resource for someone this week? That's what we're doing, y'all. These are the lessons that I'm telling you that I came away from the CBO Kenya in Kehancha. It's about resources, y'all. Kehancha, it has some resources, but it needs additional resources to be able to build and be where it is that they want to be. Just as we do. Just as we do. If you as an entrepreneur want to get to that next level, if you want to as a leader want to get to that next level, you, just like Kehancha, needs resources. So what are you doing? What are you going to do to tap in to those resources for you? What are you going to do? How are you going to work for it on this Work For It Wednesday in order to be able to gain and be a resource that you need to be for those that you're connected to? Something good is about to happen in Kehancha. Something God is about to happen in Kehancha. And something phenomenal is happening in the CBO. But you got to be connected. And speaking of resources, the CBO is a resource in and of itself. So you can tap into that resource. CBO is a resource. So one of your first steps could be to be a part of the CBO fellowship group. That will be one of the ways that you can add to your resources this week. So it's your boy, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. for the day, this Work For It Wednesday. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we will talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a phenomenal, super phenomenal day. We'll see y'all soon.